Good morning all, I'm Benj, this is Doing Outdoors, and you find me up the farm this morning, and I've not got a particular job in mind. I've been up about half an hour, I've done my quick back round, made sure everything's got food and water. I'm just going to show you what's been going on in the greenhouse over the last few days, or last week even. And as you can see, everything is looking really good. We've got lots of pricked out seedlings, some of which are nearly ready to go out into their growing spot. But whilst I was looking through all of my seedlings this morning, on the bottom shelf of this stand I'd got two trays, some sweet pepper and some cherry tomato. And looking under the propagator lid of my sweet bell pepper, you can see that we are without any tops to these plants anymore, just a stem. And that's a clear sign that I've been attacked by mice. They've been in there and they've eaten the tops off all of these plants, which is really disappointing. I think there's one that's still got its heart, so that might come through. It's the California Wonder sweet bell pepper. And that's the plant that I grew last year, and it didn't grow any sweet peppers at all. It grew hot peppers, long thin hot peppers. So I really wanted to grow some this year, just to see if it was the seed that I purchased or whether it was my growing conditions that made them grow a hot chili pepper and not a sweet bell pepper. I have got other varieties of sweet pepper in here. I've got a full tray of Romanesque. No, not Romanesque, Romano. A full tray of Romano sweet peppers here. Luckily the mice hasn't gotten up to this second shelf. But as you can see, I've got lots of pricked out seedlings here, and if it was to climb up, it would cause quite a bit of havoc for me. And that's one of the problems I've got being out here trying to set up a garden. There's a massive woodland behind me. In fact, the habitat around here is amazing for mice, and there are hundreds and hundreds, so we are going to get mice, and trying to make a greenhouse mouse proof is quite difficult. They have even taken one or two of my pricked out onions. Now in my experience, there's not a lot, even rodents don't like to eat onions. But it's taken two or three of the plants out of this tray, and it already attacked me previously when I put my broad beans in the trays, because it came in the very next night and took out beans from nearly all of one of my trays, which was about 20. So I'm down 20 plants on my broad beans from where I wanted to be. But just looking in here, everything is starting to look very good. And I'll just turn you around so you can get a close-up look. And these are the onions that I grew from seed, looking really good. We've got some Brussels down at the back. I've only got 6 Brussels plants, but I'm not a massive Brussels fan, so 6 plants is going to be more than enough for our house. Some purple sprouting broccoli, some greyhound summer cabbage. So these are my sweet cherry tomato, and as you can see, one's been chewed to death by the mouse, another one's been nibbled on, and so has this one. Next door we've got some mini pop sweet corn. So this tray of mini pop sweet corn, this is grown from seed that I saved from last year's harvest. I had a part pack of mini pop sweet corn. We grew 11 plants. Each of those grew on and presented a cob. I left those to dry on the plant because we wanted to use it for popping corn, to make popcorn. And we had quite a decent jar full. So all through the winter, whenever Bella asks for it or any of the other kids, I'll cook up some popcorn. But we still have a load left over. I've never grown sweet corn from my own seed before, but I thought I'd give it a go. I've put 30 kernels in here, and I've got a full tray. I've put 2 to each pot, and what I'll do is I'll split those before they go in the ground. So I've got 30 plants, every one came through, which I'm really happy about. Over in the hotbed, or as it's known as the not so hotbed now, we've got a different type of sweet corn growing at the back. This is a type that I bought in, and this is going to create a much bigger cob, the type you would want for your sweet corn or your corn on the cob. And I'm going to grow those at home along that south facing wall where I said we're going to grow our sunflowers for the sunflower competition. In the rest of that space, that's where I'm going to grow this corn. It's where I grew it last year, and to be fair, it did a good job. But again, I put 30 seeds in, which is what I got out of the packet that I bought, and all but 2 have come through on this sweet corn. So I'm really happy with that. We've got some more tomato plants in here, or Super Mama F1, big plum type tomato for your tomato sauces. In here that's just starting to shoot through are some melon plants. Now this is from a packet of melon seed that I had from last year. There's another one peeping there and another one there. So they're looking good. I put some Calabrese broccoli in just the other day. We've already got some pumpkin plants coming through. These 3 pots contain butternut squash, but they're not showing anything yet. And in these 10 pots, I bought a packet of strawberry plant seeds. I've never grown strawberries from a seed before. They've been in 2 weeks and they're not showing anything yet. Whether that's something to do with how cold this hotbed is now. But everything else that's in here, apart from the tomatoes, has germinated in here on the hotbed. Even the mini pop, that was all grown on in the hotbed. Also these were, and we've got some courgette plants, another variety of melon plant at the back. So I'm going to really try hard to get some good sweet melons this year. And another thing that I'm trying to grow this year, which I've never tried to grow before, and that's my own herbs. And you can see just at the back in that green modular tray, they're all basil plants. I bought a packet of basil seeds. They germinated really well, good strong plants, and I picked those out just the other day. So I've got 20 basil plants in there. Another two different types of tomato in here. And we've got some lettuce. One half of this tray is Little Gem, the other half is a mixed seed of all headed lettuce. And then we've got the potatoes, the first earlies that we're growing in pots inside the greenhouse, and they're looking really good. They're having to be watered quite regularly, and if you look at this pot at the end, you can see where it took on a bit of frost damage. We had a couple of nights where it went below 0. I think it got to -2. Some of these bigger plants with the bigger leaves, they took a bit of damage, but because they're under glass and they didn't get the full force of the frost, they've bounced back. Now in the past, when I've grown all my potatoes outdoors and you get bitten by frost, it usually kills off all of the leaves that it affects. I'm assuming because we are protected with a bit of glass here, all the leaves that were bitten have survived. Although some are yellowing, they haven't fully died, which I was expecting. So far, for my first attempt at growing potatoes earlier than I normally would and in a greenhouse, the signs are looking good. But ultimately we won't know whether it has done a good job until it's time to get the tubers out of the compost. And last but not least, whilst we are still in the greenhouse, you can see I've got a little pot of thyme, and they're all coming through quite well. The cauliflower at the back, they're a failure. That's a really old packet of seed. But you can see the onion plants that have pricked out into their own individual pots are coming on quite nicely, and they're going to want planting out soon. And then we've got some dwarf green curly kale and some more onion plants. Well, I've already planted out quite a lot of what I've started in here down at the growing plot at my house. And whilst we're out and about up the farm, we'll go and have a look at our broody hen. She's been sat on eggs now for 10 days today. She's doing a real good job. When I was in there topping her food and water up the other day, I could see that she still had all 8 eggs under her. She hadn't broken any, which is something I've had problems with in the past with broody hens. And also she's keeping the nest really clean, which is also a very good sign. And this is where she's spending her time. It's a repurposed rabbit hutch. And if we open this door, and there she is, sitting as good as gold. And because she has now been sat for 10 days, it would be a good time to candle the eggs to see if they are all fertile, because the eggs that she's sitting on are from this pen of chickens here, and I've selected all the eggs that I know that have come from the white rock hens. So it's a white rock cockerel over the white rock hens, and really we want to know if he's doing his job properly, if he's fertile. So I'll candle these eggs, we'll have a look, and that'll tell us whether he's doing his job. So they should all be, if they are all fertile, they should all be and will all be pure breed white rock chickens. What I've also been doing recently is the Indian game hen that's in here. I've been collecting her eggs. She only started laying 7 days ago. In fact, 8 days ago she's been laying now. And it's the cross between the white rock and the Indian game which I'm hoping is going to produce the large, fast-growing meat bird. But I don't know whether it's a white rock cockerel over an Indian game hen, or a Indian game cockerel over a white rock hen, which is going to give me the right combination. This is just the first experiment with what stock I've got left at the minute. But so far I have collected 7 eggs from her. I'm going to wait until I've got 10, and I'm going to put those in the incubator. And for a while I didn't think that the cockerel would be able to tread her, because she is quite a small bird in comparison to the white rock. I thought she would be too small, but because it is so muddy, I've noticed her having quite a lot of mud on her back, which is a good sign that he's treading her. So fingers crossed those 2 are going to be fertile. And in fact she has only just gotten out of the nest box, so we'll just have a look and see if she's left as an egg for today. Well, we've got eggs, but none of these are from the Indian game hen. The Indian game lays an egg of a similar colour, but it's a lot smaller in size. But these are a good size egg that we get from the white rock hens. But I'll show you the difference in size between the white rock eggs and the Indian game eggs that I've been collecting. They are quite a lot smaller. I've been keeping them in the shed, turning them 3 times a day. So that's the Indian game egg. And if we compare that to one of the eggs I've just pulled out from that nest box, probably a little bit more creamy in colour and quite a bit smaller. So it's really obvious which bird's laying what, which makes it easy for me to take the correct eggs out. I just really hope that she's being trodden by the cockerel and that all of her eggs are going to be fertile, because we really want to know whether we can create this fast growing meat bird for ourselves. And you know what, it's been raining all morning, and it had forecast to be rain all day, and the sun's just come out and it's absolutely amazing. I'm just coming into the orchard now, have a look at the bees. And one thing I've not spoke about yet about the bees, not about the bees themselves, because they are all doing really quite well. Apart from the hive at the end, I did a full inspection on these just the other day, and out of all 4, that was the smallest colony by far. The brood pattern was probably only the size of a golf ball. There are queens in each of my 4 hives, which is really, really good. And I have actually managed to mark each of the queens. I tried to get some of that on video, but I only had a GoPro on me at the time, and it just doesn't do close-up images very well. But I've got all 4 of my queens marked, and I've marked them with last year's colour. 3 of those I'm sure are last year's queens. One of them I'm not so sure, because it was from the swarm. That could have been an old queen already, but I needed to start somewhere, so they've all got a yellow spot, which is going to make identification and finding the queens a lot easier. But where we are right now, in fact, you can just see that view. How good does that look? This arable field next to us has actually got rapeseed in. And I don't know if you can see on the camera, but it's just starting to put up a couple of flowers right now. And it's not just this field, it's all the fields up to that wood, past that wood, over this hill. It's all rape. So these bees are going to have a massive crop of rapeseed honey. Now, some people don't like rapeseed honey. I've not tried pure rapeseed honey myself, so we'll just have to see how it goes. But I know from the location of this rape and where my hives are, come the end of May, their supers are going to be absolutely bulging with honey that I'm going to have to harvest as soon as it's done, really, because this rapeseed honey is renowned for crystallizing, and you won't be able to get it out of your frames. But then there's all the fruit trees that we have, and you can see this one's just coming into blossom. It survived the drought of last year, which I'm really happy about. In fact, of all of the trees that I planted last year, I lost 5 fruit trees. I've replaced 3 of those already earlier this year. A couple of them I wasn't sure of, so they stayed in the ground. But now that everything else is starting to push out blossom and new leaves, it's really obvious that they are dead, so they'll come out early next year. But some of these are doing really well, really pleased about that. I just can't wait until a few years time when I'm getting massive harvests off these. I'm making gallons and gallons of my own fresh apple juice and cider as well. So this is a pear tree that went in just this year, pushing out loads of blossom. I won't let it hold on to its fruit this year because it's only just gone in the ground, so I'll rub them out. But you can see a few that are putting out blossom. Some of the early flowering varieties like the plum. And this blackthorn that's just on the edge of the orchard is putting on a really good show at the minute. Another great feed source for the bees right on the doorstep. Let's go and have a look at the 4 little piglets that we got left over. And I say little piglets, they're not very big, or they're not very little anymore. And there they are. We've had loads of rain again, so this place has turned into a bit of a swamp pit, as it does. But these are just over 10 months old now. They're getting quite big. I think next week I'm going to have to run a couple of these off to the abattoir, because it's not going to be long until Bertha and Bacon are going to be giving birth again. So we're going to need the accommodation that these pigs have, which is this blue box. We're going to need to take that into the big field and separate Bacon and Bertha. So they've each got a box each, so they can farrow in peace and so that they don't eat each other's babies. I have heard that you can keep pigs together that farrow together and they'll be just fine, but I'm not really willing to chance it at the minute. And here's big man Bruce. He's come to say hello. He's doing really well. Everyone likes Bruce. He's a good lad. He's just got real good form to his body. We're really quite excited to see what his piglets are going to turn out like. So Bruce is only 5.5 months old now, but he's already shown that he's going to be a big lad. And he's completely free of all of his parasites that he had, so he's thriving really. He's a little bit lonely. You see him up here most of the day in his pen, and he's chatting to the girls that are on the other side in their pen. So he's not too far away from a bit of company, but I think he'd much rather get in there and snuggle up with them on a night time. And then we come to Bacon and Bertha's pen. Oh, you can see Bertha, she's just stood up for us. I think she thinks there's some food, and you can see Bacon and Peanut, they can hear the signs that there might be some food happening. But I don't know if you can tell from this range, but the bellies on Bertha and Bacon are clearly showing that they're both pregnant. So fingers crossed, early May, these two will be farrowing and we'll have some new life on the farm once again. Well, they've come to say hello, see if I've got some food, but I haven't today. They've had their breakfast already. And then we've got poor old Peanut. Well, now that we've got Bruce the boar, he's surplus to requirement, so I'm going to try and find him somewhere to live now. He's a real nice lad. I don't really want to have to take him to the abattoir, but if nobody wants him, that's where he'll end up. And that's just one of the facts of keeping animals for farming or a small holding, however you call it. You can't keep feeding animals that don't really serve a purpose. It costs about £1.20 a day to keep him in feed, but if you're not going to use him, it's just money down the drain. But like I said, he's a real lovely lad. I'm going to try my hardest to find him a new home. He's still got plenty of good years left in him yet. He's about 30 months old, so he's not old by any means, and he's proven himself to be a very fertile boar, and he does his job properly. Not only has he impregnated these two sows, but he's also been out on loan and given some good litters to other people. And then we come to the sheep. We still have 3 sheep, however the 2 that are boys without the testicles, their days are numbered, unfortunately. Now it's quite sad because most of the family have become really fond of the sheep. They're so docile that they'll make excellent pets. But we bought them in for a couple of purposes. One was to mow this field, keep the grass down, and they do a really good job. Not only do they eat the grass, but they do the brambles as well. But because they've got no real purpose, they're going to have to go. So very soon we'll be slaughtering one of these, but I'm hoping to get some new stock in. I want to keep a small flock of sheep, probably 4 ewes and a tup perhaps, and that'll keep us in lamb and it'll keep the field in good order. And then we come to the cows. The cows are doing really well. They've overwintered really well, to say they haven't had a shed to stay in. They've been eating lots of hay. Also, we've been supplementing them with some pellet feed, and they look good. And what I plan to do with these is buy in a bull later this year, around July, August time. So hopefully we can get these pregnant, so this time next year they'll be dropping calves, and not only will that increase our herd, but it should bring these into milk, and then we'll be able to start milking the cows, producing cheese, obviously milk for whatever you need, cream. It'll be another valued product that we can produce ourselves. So everything on the farm is looking good. Spring's definitely in the air. The greenhouse is looking good. The growing spot at home's looking good. I need more growing space down here on the farm, and I'll be building that very soon. And like I said, my name's Benj. You've been watching Doing Outdoors. If you've not subscribed already and you're interested in self-sufficiency or just want to see how my journey pans out, don't forget to subscribe. And those that have subscribed already, thanks a lot, and I'll see you next time.